really hope that the next time you hear that on radio, you will sing it in a different way, right? And, you know. Okay, so, life was good. I was telling you about my Australian stint. What a blessing it was, really. That's why all these stories about my life, I cannot tell you about any bad things because I told you I was a good girl. So when I was asked to witness and tell my story, I said, I really can't say much. There was no thunder and lightning. There was no dramatic shift from here to there. And that indeed is a blessing too, right? Because I could have destroyed myself. Like I've seen with some friends. Some friends had abortions. Some friends had, oh my gosh, a lot of things. So, there was auditions announced in the papers for The King and I in Australia. And the reason for that was the success of Miss Saigon. Because the producer of the Australian King and I is friends with Cameron McIntosh. And he said, you know, I'm having a problem looking for people to do The King and I in Australia. And Cameron said, oh my gosh, I was so successful. More than half of my cast from Miss Saigon came from the Philippines, so they posted auditions. And it was done at the Cultural Center of the Philippines. And of course, first they were thinking of the King. Of course, I can't audition for that. And then it starred Cross Flowers, Minta, and Tuptim being the young girl. And there was nothing for me. So I was surprised when my maid said, I was out and my maid said, Ate, tumawag ang Cultural Center of the Philippines, would you like to audition now? I said, I cannot audition. I was around 40 at that time. Okay, don't calculate. I'm older than that. I'm definitely older than that. I wasn't really 40. So there's no role for me. No, Ate, the Cultural Center said you must call. So I called. I said, my maid got a call and I said, you wanted me to audition for King and I? Why is that? Oh, because they're opening. They were so amazed at the talents that came to audition. So they were originally auditioning only for 3 people. They were opening it for 5, including Lady Piang. Lady Piang is the first wife of the king. The first wife, who was not really the real wife because the real wife died. She's the first wife because she was the eldest among the concubines. There were about 99 girls in that kingdom, in that country. So anyway, I went, and I didn't even have a song to prepare. On the way out, I grabbed a cassette pa nun. Cassette. And then I said, let's see what's in this. So I live in West Avenue. That's a long way to Cultural Center. So I just put the cassette in the car. I said, whatever comes up here, I'll sing. So my audition piece was Home. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home, I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When the taste of tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the seed makes it all clear. Suddenly my world's gonna change its face, but I still know where I'm going. I have on my mind spun around in space, yet I watched it glowing. And now if you're listening, God, please don't make it hard for us to believe the things that we see. Tell us, should we try to stay, or should we run away? Or would it be better just to let things be? Living here in this grand new world might be a fantasy. So song was not in my plan to sing this morning. In fact, they were saying, how many songs will you do? I said, maybe one, maybe two. I really don't know. So anyway, I sang home. And they said, can you come again tomorrow to do a reading? I said, a reading? Okay, here's the script. Read the lines and come tomorrow. Okay, and the cultural center people told the Australian producers that my two boys also sing. So the producer said, can you bring the boys also to the audition? I can remember, I cannot forget, it was Good Friday, so nothing was happening in Manila, no traffic. And it was already the director, the British director, who was only left in the Philippines. A whole team of Australians went to the Philippines, the executive producer, the musical director, the set decorator, the costume designer. My goodness, really. And it was only the director that was left behind, and they still couldn't find the prince. So when we went to his room at the Manila Hotel, he said, we heard that your 12-year-old son can sing too. Oh yes, he used to be a member of Ryan Kavyav's 14K group. So he was asked to sing. And I remember he sang, where is love? Does it fall from skies above? Is it underneath the willow tree? Whatever. And then he was thrown the script, and can you please turn to page 22 and read lines 8 and 9. Before we know it, he said, he was on the phone calling the producer, I found my prince. I said, what? My husband and I, what is he saying? Because pala, in Australia, they found it difficult to get Asian singers because they wanted to be true to the musical. They couldn't find a lot of Asians who could sing, dance, and act. In fact, when we were already having our run, the dancers they were forced, of course, by law to get also some Australians. They were blonde and white. They have to get a tan, and they have to color their hair, paid by the producer, just so that they will look authentic. But their straight, long, tall noses, of course, gives it away. So I said, what's going to happen now? My husband said, are you bringing my child too? Because they were already telling me that I passed the audition when I was going. And listen to this. This is the only contract I had that was this way. So I said, I'm 40 years old. And at this point in my life, my priority is my children. I had a 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. So how long is this contract for? 1 year. I said, 1 year. I do not want to be away from my family that long. No, we're bringing the boys. You're bringing the boys. And then, yes, look at this one blessing after another. How about their schooling? We're putting them to school. What about our housing? Well, how big a house do you need? I said, I have relatives and family. I'm sure they will visit. Of course I have a chance. Will a 3-bedroom be okay with you? I said, of course. Thank you. And we will provide you with a cleaner. A lady came to my house in uniform with a headband, driving an Audi or a Mercedes while I took the train going to work. Kaya, that's why I felt very embarrassed if I needed to tell her, there's still some dirt under the table. I couldn't. Our mentality, she was a blondie, and I said, do I really have a blondie for a maid this time? And then when I opened the apartment, whether it's a house or an apartment, because I went to 5 cities. I sang in Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth, Melbourne, and Sydney. So we would pack our bags, go to the next city, enroll the boys in another school every 2 months. I would open all the drawers and silverware. And we were dining in China. Plates. I said, oh my goodness, they think I'm a star. And then when I was with the cast members, they would ask me, "Where do you live?" I live in Double Bay. Double Bay? I said, "Why? That's expensive." "Oh, that's an expensive place in Sydney." And in Melbourne, "Where do you live?" "I live in Toorak." "Oh, that's also an expensive place." I said, "They think I'm a superstar." They thought I was a superstar. So I was happy. Look at those blessings. Look at those blessings. And earning at the same time. And giving my children that chance of a lifetime to live in a country and learn from that culture. So that indeed was a blessing. So I said, "Oh my gosh, Lord, what is this really?" So after that, with the good reviews that we thankfully had, my son and myself, I said, "Why don't we apply for residency in Australia?" In 1 month, approved. Anyway, I said, "Are we sure about this?" And so it ticked my mind. Why don't we apply for a visa in the United States in the same like as an artist? In 6 months, approved. I said, "Lord, I was just joking." 2 visas at the same time, and 2 visas for the whole family. I never knew that there is such a category like that. Do you know that category? It's funny. That's why when people ask me, "How did you enter?" "I'm an alien with extraordinary ability." That is the title. Alien with extraordinary ability. But I had to give them stacks of what I had achieved. Who did I perform with? Because the requirements for that visa is you should be in the top 10% of your countries if you're an artist entertainer. I said, "I'm not a mega star. I'm not a Sharon Cuneta. I don't think I'm even in the top 10% of the country. No, really. I'm not. I just do my thing. I just work hard." And so, where have you performed? I performed in these different countries. I think the thing that made it go for them is I represented the Philippines and won in different countries. And I performed with American artists like David Benoit, Joe Sample and the Crusaders, Bob James, and Noel Pointer, and Diane Reeves. And so it was really so surprising. It's a good thing that Australia's laws will allow you to be away of the country for 5 years. So we just entered and registered. And then we entered the United States because we were also approved. So in the 5 years here, I was asking my children, "So where? Australia or the United States?" How many people have that blessing of 2 permanent visas? And sabay-sabay, no hintay-hintay. So in other words, in that category, if I had 10 children, 10 automatic resident. I said, "My goodness gracious." And so the children said, "Mom, you haven't even unpacked the boxes. We were moving again." "No, we're already studying here. We are staying here." And so, we've been here for the past 20 years. What a blessing it was really. So we thought that this is the land of opportunity, land of all good things. But there are also a lot of crazy things happening. Now, the things happening right now, the abortion, the LGBT, XYZ, all of that. And the random shootings that is so unbelievable. Sometimes it gets you very scared. So I like to sing this song, a song of comfort for me. Ang ganda ko. me.